All right, Fit Fam, welcome to Fitness Junk Debunked. We have an exciting episode for you today. We're both doing a visual recording and an audio recording. This is Steph, your host, and I'm here with my team member and colleague and bestie. She's not my bestie, but she will be one day. And we have two special guests. We're joined by Eric Rich and Jocelyn Reynolds. So this is where I do my applause. Yeah! Happy Pride, y'all.
Happy Pride to you too.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Before we started recording, I was just saying, Eric, you normally come in and we normally have like an in-person little fitness party. But this is the first year, actually the second year. Last year we did something virtual, but this is the first year that we're not doing something together. So we just wanted to check in with Eric Rich and see what you're up to this year for Pride, how we can find you, and how we can, I guess, just get over the stress of the pandemic. Like, it's just been so much. And as we slowly start to reopen and figure out how to socialize again, where do we start? Like, where do we find you to have those feel good feelings?
For sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Eric. I also go by Lucy Flawless, Warrior Princess, Star of Stage and Screen.
Amazing.
And yes, oh my goodness, it's so great to be Lucy Flawless and be a star of stage and screen again, because it's been months and months and months of not that. So we actually, today is a very I'm really happy we're doing this today as opposed to even a week ago or next week, because just this past weekend, I had my first in-person shows again that I've had since November 4th, I think was the last. So everything else I've been doing has just been online, this kind of thing, but I was up there on a stage, very far away from audience members, but oh my goodness, real life is emerging again. And oh my goodness, it feels amazing. It feels amazing. My body is sore from the performance. I would say that.
I was just going to ask, how did it go?
It was really good. It was really fun. We're all still kind of, finding our way through the restrictions and how exactly we do all of this, but we've got one venue that's open and running, and they were doing really well. They're working really hard at making sure everybody is safe and that everyone is also happy and that it's all going smoothly and according to the rules. And honestly, it was just fabulous. It was so great to see the venue is reservations booked up until end of July, the weekend we opened them. So
what's the venue?
Cruise and Tangos.
Cruise and Tangos.
Yes. That was something so lovely to see to me, because I know coming out of this, I'm ready to give all my artist friends all my money. I'm going to go to every show that I'm invited to. I'm never seeing those opportunities again. And I'm hoping, or I was hoping, that everyone else is feeling this way too. And so far, so good. It seems like a lot of people are very, very eager and hungry to engage with people and engage with artists and to just get back out there and live our lives again. So that is great. I was definitely sore from the shows, the high heels. It's a while since I've been in the high heels, and great at the time. The next day, my calves were a little crampy, but that's all right. That's all right.
I was telling Jocelyn in a session how fabulous you are in and out of Lucy Flawless. How do you use what's your routine like? Do you have or do you get the JLo 15 where you sleep for 15 hours for beauty sleep? And what do you how do we get fabulous like you?
15 hours of beauty sleep? I wish. I really wish. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. How do you get fabulous like me? Well, first of all, you got to spend the first 15 years of your life unsure about yourself in a rural place.
There, got it, down.
Have your blossomy moment in the big city where you become the fabulous individual. No, I'll have a real answer.
But exercise, how many times a day do you exercise? Do you run around, do you run in heels? Because I see people sometimes running on the treadmill in heels. I see a lot of ballet dancers doing that sometimes. So I'm just curious, do you have to train that way?
I do a lot of walking, too much walking. People usually tell me I'm crazy for the amount of walking that I do. But my thing is it's great exercise. It's free. It's not super rigorous exercise. And every time I walk somewhere, it is perfect time allotted to learning lyrics, running monologues, going over things that I'm working on. And it's so funny because it's probably my number one like fitness activity, but also such a huge part of my creative process. Whenever I'm working on something, I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk and listen to this, or, you know what, I'm just going to go for a walk and run this in my mouth and see how it goes. And
Totally.
I find that like fitness and creativity, not even just fitness, but like your body moving and activating your body while being creative, for me is such an important correlation. And I've just like always incorporated that into my creative process as well. Not necessarily working out, but like, I'm just going to do this while I'm doing some yoga or while I'm walking or something. And it is always such a like crazy journey that it'll take you on. Like so much, you just learn so much more and discover so much more about what you're doing than you are sitting down writing or something like that. So my main fitness thing is the walking and the yoga. That's like,
you heard it here. Those are the keys to fabulosity. Fabulosity. Did I make that up? Is that new?
it's new now. You sure did.
But those are the keys, and that's actually great suggestions for anybody listening who is struggling to start, because it's like we've been locked. It feels like locked up. I know we haven't been locked up, but we've been in our homes and distancing. And a lot of people are thinking about gyms and outdoor activities and where to start. And it's like, just start walking. Like find a good path, find a good park, and get walking. I love that suggestion and idea. It's great. So tell us some more about what you're getting into. You mentioned you have story time.
Yes, that's been one of the major ventures I've been on this Pride. I am doing drag queen story times for the children, which is so lovely. Like, oh my goodness, I get so much joy doing these story times. I've been doing them for a while. I was doing them in person before the pandemic for a while. And then last year when Pride came around, we did host a series of them online. It's myself, Toronto Drag Queen Storytime is the organization. We also partner up with all the libraries in the Durham region. They're the ones who host it. And it's put on mostly by the Children's Aid Society in Durham and the Youth Pride Durham, Durham's Youth Pride organization.
Okay.
So each week there's a different host library. There's like Clarington, Brock, Whitby, all these places, their libraries will host it. And we did this last year as well, and it was great and it was fun and I had a fantastic time. But this time around, like it's different. I think that all of us, myself included, are just so much more comfortable with working online. Like we know how to do these things. You know, last June, like not all of us even had Zoom downloaded on our computer, let alone like how to host a drag show for all these people on Zoom and stuff. And I feel like a year later, it's just like, we got this, we know how it works, let's do it. And like myself sitting down, talking to a camera to people who like aren't really there. I just know how to do that so much more than I did 12 months ago. And I'm so much more comfortable with it that it's easier. And on the other end, the people are just so much more interactive. And like, I think they understand too, like how the give and take of a virtual anything really. It doesn't even have to be a show, like a virtual meeting there. You really do have to like give to receive. Also this year, like the reach is so much bigger. My viewership during my story times will often say around like 30 or so people are watching, but each time at least 5 of those are full classrooms of kids.
Oh, wow.
Like everywhere, like in Toronto, out in the Durham region, all over these places, they'll just be like, we're the 4 or 5 class from this school tuning in. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like it says one person on my end, but it's actually like a classroom of 25 kids, and they're all like putting stuff out and like typing stuff to me. And it's just like, oh, wow, the reach on this is so much bigger. And like, that is really amazing to see. And even just the first day, I did not expect that. And all these full classrooms, I was like, oh my goodness, how many people are watching me right now? Like, this is great. It's really, really great. So that's been like my main thing this Pride that I've just been enjoying so much, and it's so great. And two, one thing I really like about it is that for a while the drag queen story times, everybody knew that they were happening, but they weren't necessarily that accessible to everybody, because it was very much like bring your toddler to the library to see this. And I think a lot of people who are, you know, grown individuals wouldn't necessarily be comfortable, or they don't have toddlers to bring. They're like, can I come to these things? Like, it's not allowed. But these story times, they are streamed live, they're posted on Facebook, like they're all still there from this month. All the ones from last year are still posted on the Toronto Drag Queen Storytime page too. So it's been a wonderful opportunity, I think, for people to see just what these drag queen story times are all about, and like just how amazing children's literature is these days, how far it's come. And what exactly we're preaching and teaching to the children in these. It's really lovely.
Amazing. That sounds, it made my heart go pitter patter. That's like just such a
Every
nice,
Wednesday that's happening here, and I'm like,
such a nice thing. And then, so Cruise and Tango, are you just working there for the rest, like until July? Because you mentioned it's all booked up, or are you at other venues? Are other venues trying to do live shows this month?
So I know that venues are working on it. Cruise and Tangos is lucky they've got the setup and they've got a big outdoor patio that's not out on the street. The problem with a lot of the drag venues is that they don't have the space to do it outdoors,
Right.
which was all part of the reopening process last year as well. Like they really had to wait until we could do things indoors, or they could set things up outdoors, but it was like 5 tables on the street to serve people food or alcohol kind of thing. There isn't really space to do a show that isn't take up the whole sidewalk.
Right.
So it's just all about what they're able to do with the space that they have. And Cruise is one of the lucky ones that has a stage on a patio outdoor that is a private space. So I know the other ones are working on it. We're just waiting for other restrictions to be lifted or just certain things to be in place that we can move ahead.
Yeah, well, that sounds super exciting. Like just to know that we're working on it, we're growing, we're resilient, we're going to have these shows again, which I cannot wait, and that we're moving closer to hopefully stage 3. Right now we're in stage 1, but there's some scuttlebutt that they might skip stage 2 and go right to stage 3, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, all fantastic stuff. Any news or any updates with the Spice Queens? What are they up to?
So the Spice Queens, oh my goodness, I miss the Spice Queens so much. For everyone who may not know, the Spice Queens are a group of 5 Toronto drag queens who do a Spice Girls concert. This, I tell you, before the pandemic, this was the hottest ticket in town. Like, oh my goodness, it's a great group of us. Juicebox from Canada's Drag Race and Priyanka from Canada's Drag Race are both members of it. They're our Baby Spice and our Scary Spice. And it's myself, Amara plays our Posh Spice, and Baby Bell Bell plays our Ginger Spice. We're all very well-known, busy working queens around Toronto. And like this show was so much fun. Everybody loves the Spice Girls. And it's like a fully choreographed, like 2-hour Spice Girls concert. Like it's a show, yes. Unfortunately, like we're just trying to get to a point where you can have one drag queen performing on her own, distanced from let alone 5 on a tiny stage doing all this crazy. So it's definitely something that is gonna have to be a little bit later on. I think the last show we got to do together was actually Priyanka hosted herself a viewing party for the finale of Canada's Drag Race. So that was pretty amazing. The night she won, the Spice Queen came on and did a spotlight set.
Oh, amazing.
Back together again, like after that amazing moment for all of us, not even just Priyanka. Like it was so amazing. Like even just a finale of a Canada's Drag Race is an amazing moment for all drag entertainers in Canada. But that was like really special and was the last Spice Queens things that we did. And we are definitely going to continue on this trajectory we were on. It's just definitely like, with the pandemic and of course Priyanka becoming so busy winning Drag Race, like it's something that when we do come back to, oh my goodness, I can't wait. Like we are going to go for it. I can't wait. But like the pandemic really kind of put a hold on the Spice Queens for now, but good for now. That's a big for now.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to when we can get back and see those concerts. They were pretty incredible. Just killed it. Amazing.
Yes, I'm very excited to bring that back.
Is that all you have going on this week, or do we got some more? Because I know that you like more. So Cruise and Tango, we got story time. Anything else for Pride, or even something that you're looking forward to that like, oh my God, you can't wait till this thing that you're doing for yourself rather than performing for other people?
For sure. So one thing I would like to mention, because it's something that I've been trying to spread the word about this Pride, there is a lot of talk about, in the queer community, about I'm not sure if we call it pink washing or rainbow washing, like the corporations that put up their Pride flags every June and then take them down on July 1st kind of thing. I got to say, like, there's a lot of different opinions on that. This year, like, I am working all week, and I've been working all of last week, and I'm working
Mhm.
all of next week, showing up to these corporations, these offices, everybody's pride celebrations, because everybody's having one, and everyone knows how to have one on Zoom now, virtually with their office, and they're
Right.
all hiring drag entertainers to come in and celebrate with them. And just like a lot of times it's like, do one number and then do a Q&A about pride and tell us about yourself and all of this. And I'm like so grateful for that this year, that I can't say a word about anyone, you know, only celebrating during June, because I'm like, they are hiring me. This is like my transition from being on EI to being a like functioning human in the world again,
Right.
money and doing all this. And like, I couldn't really do that without the support of all these people. And every single one is like, meeting all these new people, getting a bunch of new followers and people to engage with online. And like, that is so valuable as well in a time when we just haven't been able to do that. So like, very, very appreciative for all of those people who have reached out to us and who are, and like a lot of us are working a lot this month. So there's a ton of places that are doing this. And I know a lot of us are really, really thankful for that. So a lot of what I'm doing is just like private events and stuff like that, but it's so fantastic, and I'm so like happy about that.
Well, yeah, that's great to hear. It's fantastic to have that support, as you mentioned, and just like the community uplifting during really kind of, well, dark times, not being able to do how we normally do, not being able to express ourselves. So that is fantastic. And busy, busy, busy. I'm segueing to Jocelyn, who was busy, busy, busy for what, 3 weeks on your art installation?
Yeah, so my latest project is up as an 80-foot installation on the facade of Buddies in Bad Times Theater.
Amazing.
Outside, accessible at a safe distance to everyone, which is nice. And there's also a digital component online as well. So if people aren't comfy going out yet into the crowds, they can also access the project online.
Okay, tell us a bit about the project and like the time you put in and what you love about it. It's like a baby for you. Like you've watched it grow, and here it is, 80 feet tall.
Yes, 5 feet tall.
Oh, 5 feet, not 80 feet.
Yeah, that'd be. Maybe stack them on top of each other. Maybe I'll do it. Yeah, I'm like, wow, how do I trace it back to the beginning? Because I feel like there are just so many things that kind of like builds up to this point. I suppose this actually started with a previous project of mine, which was about disappearing queer spaces in the city and how to access the stories from past generations, because these spaces and times weren't really documented because there was a different relationship to documentation back then. Like it wasn't necessarily safe to have your photo taken or to document people in queer community spaces. And so I was at the archives in Toronto, the Queer Archives, and it's the largest independent 2S LGBTQ+ archive in the world. And when I was going through material there, I found that it was a very specific demographic was represented, which was the cis white gay male demographic. And I was just like, how do we access other stories, you know, outside of this specific population? And so it was just like the elders, you know, that's how we'll sort of interact with these stories and learn from them. And so that is when I had the idea to meet with 20 2S LGBTQ+ elders in the community and take their portraits and also record their oral histories. So that's what this project is about.
Amazing. And the project is called Return, Seek, and Carry. You mentioned there is a digital component. Where can we find that?
At returnseekcarry.com.
Pretty easy, I'm going to try to put some links, and I will tag both our artists that are joining us today, so you can visit their pages and creep their pages and see what they're up to, and maybe run into them over the next couple of weeks. So you mentioned it was important to get these stories, and it seems like very profound. Like I saw some of the images and they're just very powerful images. What was your favorite part of the project outside of seeking these stories and sharing them, which is huge in itself? Like what part was just like, oh, this was all worth it. It was worth the headache. And the, like, when did you have that moment and what was that moment for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that it happened in two ways. The first way was actually meeting those people and building relationships with them, and
Mhm.
actually physically sitting down and listening to those stories and building those relationships, because in those moments I just sensed how important it was to create space for people to share about their experiences and their feelings, especially people who have been historically like marginalized and left out of history in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
So there were a lot of very raw and emotional moments during those interviews where it felt very worthwhile to be doing the project. You know, even if no one had seen any of the work, that was very rewarding in itself.
Mhm.
And I'm very much a believer of building intergenerational relationships. So integrating that aspect into actually creating the work is very important to me, and maintaining those relationships with people. So that's a big part of it. And then I would say, now that the project is actually out and I've seen the subjects sharing about it on social media and just seeing their communities react to it and how much meaning it has for them and how impactful it's been for them to see their friends take up space and share their stories when they necessarily, you know, haven't gotten attention in the past. It's just been
Right.
uplifting and heartwarming.
That sounds, and powerful, giving other people the permission to share their stories as well as you're saying through their own communities. So great work, you. I know how hard you worked on it, and I know there were junctures that were difficult, but you got it done, and now we're sharing it, which is pretty incredible. So one more time, where you already said it, but like we're heading to the end of our discussion. So one more time, where we can find it digitally at returnseekandcarry.com.
Yes.
And then if we want to see it in the reels, where do we go?
Yeah, so it's at Buddies in Bad Times Theater, which is at Yonge and Alexander, which is in the Gay Village. And yeah, it's on the east facade of the building. There's a park that's right beside it, so you can bring a blanket and a couple friends and just have a little picnic and hang out, listen to the stories. There's like a QR code there that you can scan and actually listen to the stories while you look at them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really neat. Okay, I'm actually writing that down for myself. Okay, so
go on my walk today.
fantastic. Tying it all together. Aziza, you've been so quiet. Do you have any questions, or do you want to add anything to the conversation about art and mental health, especially this month as we start to reopen?
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I mean, yeah, art and mental health really tie in together, and it's really interesting. Not interesting, it's actually frustrating to see all these studies being done, and even without studies, like we all just know it. And then continuously seeing art get pushed to the side, and art in schools, the funding for that get cut. And as someone who grew up dancing, it was a huge help emotionally, because you can, at dance school, it was, leave what you're dealing with at the door, which isn't always possible. There are definitely times when like we would break down in class because stuff's going on. But creating that family and creating a way to express yourself that isn't harmful, and having a place to go after school as well, is really important. And yeah, and side note, I'm rewatching So You Think You Can Dance, and a lot of times you'll see these stories of these kids, because they're mostly kids, they're mostly like 18, 19 on the show, talking about how dance has saved them in one way or another, whether it's because they, be selling drugs on the street, or like financially someone helped them to get into dance, all this different kind of stuff. So the tie-in between art and your mental wellness and even your physical wellness, no matter what type of art you're doing, is so important and so obvious that it sucks that we don't have that support from our governing bodies.
Right. We've talked about the disappointment. Eric, Jocelyn and I had a conversation, but disappointment in how things are being handled and policies and things to that nature. But yeah, it is a disappointment, but it's great that we have these bright lights that shine so bright and allow us to do the thing. So thank you, Eric, for joining us and sharing all that you're getting into. I know that I'm going to try my hardest. It's hard with the reopening and everything to catch a few shows and to encourage other kids maybe to sign up or have their parents look into signing up for Storytime, because I think that idea is so fantastic. And Jocelyn, thanks for sharing your art with everybody. Again, another thing to do outside, go see, take in, learn, gain different perspective. It's such an amazing piece. So thank you for joining us and sharing what you're up to. And Ziz, you said something, yay!
Yay!
And sharing how important art and dance and movement and creativity, like that's my role here at ILT, is creative director when I can be. Wear lots of different hats, but dance was very much that way for me as well. But being creative, playing dress up, developing alter egos, and just having that outlet to just be free and try things and do things and move is really important. And it's an aspect of physical wellness that we don't talk about nearly as much. So here we are talking about it. Thanks for discussing it with us. Gonna segue again, dance. Aziza and I are having a body posy party this Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. So it's like your pre-party where you can come. And we're hoping we can get out in the park if the weather cooperates, but if not, we'll be doing it virtually. Tell your friends, join us. It's a really fun space to just cut loose. Like just shake off everything that the world puts on you, especially now that we're re-entering the world and like the messages aren't like, welcome, we love you. The messages are like, you're fat, lose your pandemic pounds, cover up. And it's the worst. It's the worst. And we have to combat this daily and it gets tiring. So it's nice to have these moments where we can just shut that off, wear what we want, be encouraged to shake and jiggle what shakes and jiggle, and be dorky and have fun together. So if you can join us this Friday, you can find this this party that we're having virtually under classes at our website, which is www.ironlinetraining.ca. So hope you'll join us. Bring your mom, bring your grandma, bring everybody that you can who wants to dance or just needs to like relax, because it's tough. It's tough to relax. Like, it's one of the things as adults, you're like, relax. It's like in the history of relaxing. Has that ever worked if you just tell somebody, relax? But dancing, art, singing, being silly, they all help. Taking in entertainment. I can't wait to hear live music again in like field music. That's one of the things I've been really longing for, is to actually feel the bass from the stereo and like turn it up. Yeah, and we're moving in that direction, so things are starting to get hopeful again. So this has been episode 7. We did 3 episodes this month. Whew, so there's lots to talk about with Fitness Junk Debunked. Remember, keep art in your life, keep creativity going. Don't let that candle of creativity blow out. And go see Jocelyn's art installation, and go see Eric wherever you can catch Lucy Flawless. Are we still saying favorite neighborhood hoe, or no, we're not doing that anymore. Okay.
Stage and screen. Star
and stage and screen. There we go. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is us signing out. Thanks for listening. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.